Hey guys, welcome to my garage. This is where I do all my coffee roasting using the Kaffelogic Nano 7. In today's video, I'll be roasting two types of beans. One is a Brazil natural pulp and a Kenya AB. These are the two beans I do mostly, so that's why I have two big bags of them. I'll show you my setup, I'll show you my workflow of how I roast each one and my profile that I use. I've gone through many different variations to get to this point, and a lot of it I got some awesome help from the Discord, the unofficial Discord. So if you have this roaster, make sure you check them out. So yeah, let me show you the setup and then let's roast some beans. First, here is the roaster. I 3D printed this adapter here for the exhaust. I have this pipe that I got from Amazon, and it goes out that pet door, and you just turn it on. That way we don't inhale the fumes. Here we have an old computer and an old monitor that I converted into a vertical monitor so I can see the graph. And then here's the two beans. I got the Brazil Pulp Natural Condado San Jose. Got the Kenya Cambo Spike AB, both from Street Maria's. Got my scale and two containers. I like to rest the beans in separate containers with a date and then combine them after they're fully rested. And then the rest of my beans, I like these Ethiopia ones, and then I store the rest in these coolers. I have the roaster connected through USB-C from back here all the way to the computer. That way I can modify or add different roast profiles. So up here, you view my roaster. And these are my profiles here. We are gonna be using the 150 gram Kenya. So looking at the log of my last roast with the Kenya profile, it should get first crack around a little over 6 minutes. And then it stops roasting at this point right here at 7 minutes and 17 seconds. I like to end around 215 to 217 degrees Celsius to get like a medium roast on that. That way we can retain all the fruity notes. And we're gonna start with the Kenya Cambo Spike AB. So my profile is made to start with 150 grams of green beans. So scoop out 150. Too much. That's 143. We'll add a little bit more. So when you start with 150 grams, you lose some of the weight through roasting. I get about 12 to 15% loss. So keep that in mind. Okay, so we're at exactly 150 grams. Make sure you seal up your coffee. And then this comes off. This is what collects the chaff. So this is the green bean. You can see as you roast it, the outer shell comes off, and if all of this gets caught up into the chaff collector, which just untwists right here, it goes right here, and then dump it in the trash. Just make sure you clean it, or else it can catch on fire. So the 150 grams we will put directly into this chamber. And what I like to do before I start the roast is, let's see if I can. So press this to load the profile, and then I like to check the fan. The fan preview just shows the circulation. So that is important to check to make sure you have proper airflow, or else when this starts heating up, if the beans are not rotating, it will burn, and that's how I almost got it on fire. So I always check that. Okay, so we're going to start it. I loaded 150 grams in, and we're going to press start. So now we have a live preview of that roast. So you're seeing here that the temperature is rising, and it's going to follow this blue line of how I made the curve for this profile. And I'm expecting to hear the first crack. It's like popcorn. When the roast goes to a certain point, it'll pop open, and my first crack is going to be about 6 minutes 20 seconds. And so I'll tune in when we're going to get to that point again. And after that first crack, I have it to automatically stop at around 7 minutes and 15 seconds. And we should be around 216 to 218 degrees of the end temperature. And then the fan's going to kick in and cool everything down so you don't over roast it. So typically at this point, I will be working out or doing some other task. But for today, we'll stick by it. I usually try to keep this clean as well so you can see it, but yeah, it's a bit dirty right now. You don't actually need to use a computer either. All the stats are here. So you can see we're at 1 minute 22 seconds of the roast. And then you can even log first crack by pressing this button. And then when you hear the pop, press that triangle. But since I'm always plugged in, I like to just press first crack when it's actually when I hear it. So we'll get back to that. So as you can see here, the Kaffelogic does really well following the profile. Basically, there is a PID, so it changes the settings automatically within the machine to make sure that the temperature stays as planned as best as possible. However, when we get to first crack, because of all the internal pressure and energy that's built up, you'll see a little spike here, and then the PID will try to bring down the temperature to make it follow that curve again. You'll see that once we get there. So we are currently at 5.5 minutes. You can see that the internal temperature of the machine is slightly above what the profile is, which is okay, but you can see that this black line is bringing down the energy to try to bring down that temperature. So we're approaching first crack soon. I can already start hearing some random I wait till I get 3 cracks in a row before I mark first crack. So I got first crack there. It's like popcorn crack right here. So we have steady cracks. It's 6.5 minutes. So there you go. So it did crack a little bit sooner than expected, but this profile was made for the Kiambo Spike AA. This is AB, so it made it slightly less dense, which is okay. Overall, it still tastes really good, and I've learned to not be too picky about it. Right now, our temperature is 214.8, rising up, and kind of fluctuates there. After the first crack, again, a lot of energy is released, and you can see that the machine is trying to just keep the temperature as stable as possible. We'll be reaching the end of the roast soon, so we're at 7:15. It should be stopping at 7:17. There you go. Exactly 217 degrees Celsius, 7 minutes 16 seconds, and that is exactly how I would like this roast. And every roast going forward should be pretty much the same. So now we see the temperature dropping very quickly, and I modified the settings so we get the least amount of beans sucked up in the chaff. So this is the cool down period. Okay, so it finished cooling down in about 5 minutes. Now we are going to weigh the end result. So we tear the scale again. Let's dump it out. It's kind of weird, you just dump it out like this. Make sure there's no leftover beans for the next batch. So give it a shake. So we have 129.3 grams of roasted Kenya beans here. So this is like a medium, about a medium dark roast. So it's easy to pull for espresso. And then I'll open up the chaff collector. So this is all the silver skin or the chaff that comes off of the bean, and I just dump it out into the trash. I shake it to make sure there's no rattling of coffee beans in there, so I know nothing's stuck in there. That's because I was able to fine tune the airflow of the fan before I would get a lot of beans stuck in here, especially if it's a lower density bean like Brazil. But got to the point where I don't have to fish out beans from here anymore. So we'll just dump it out. Make sure it's clean before you start the next one so it doesn't have risk of catching on fire. And then today's date is the 8th, so I guess change this to 8 so I know. So we'll dump it out. We'll start the next one. Rinse and repeat. And then I change the profile for the Brazil and do the same thing. I do about 3 to 4 batches of each and I'll be good for a while. So let's see, we got 129 grams of roasted beans. We started with 150. That's about a 14% weight loss, which is exactly what you should be looking for in a medium roast. So we got the end temperature at 217 degrees as I planned in 7 minutes, 17 seconds, 14% weight loss. So yeah, it's exactly how I like it. And the taste notes have lychee notes in it, and the chocolate and lychee, which is very interesting. Okay, so basically from there, just rinse and repeat. I'm gonna measure out 150 grams again. Put her back in here. Cover it up. Start the roast. So that's gonna go make a new log, and actually gets to save time. I'm already gonna be measuring the next one for 150. I like to roast about 3 batches for each of my Kenya and my Brazil, and that typically lasts me about a month. I let it rest for 2 to 4 weeks before I use it, so I always have the next rotation. I roast every 2 weeks. Once it's done resting, sometimes I get ambitious and put them into glass vials at 18 grams already after they've rested, or else the carbon dioxide gets trapped in there and it could stale out your beans or make it taste funny. So make sure you let it rest into canisters with a one-way valve. Let the carbon dioxide release. That's pretty much it. So since I know that my profile, it's following my profile well, where I end at 7 minutes and 17 seconds, 217 degrees Celsius, 14% weight loss, which I calculated from getting 129 grams of roasted beans with 150 start. I know that going forward, all of them are going to be the same for this one. So I'm already getting the next green beans ready. And from here, I can just dump straight into the canister with the rest of the Kenya beans. And then I'll do the same with my Brazil. Make sure that the first one is following the profile. And then just rinse and repeat. I could probably finish just, well, each batch will take about 12 to 13 minutes because it's 7 minutes roast, 5 minutes to cool down. So it's just about being efficient, getting the next green beans ready. So you guys do the math. I do 6 batches and then I'm good for about a month. But yeah, if you guys have any questions about this process, feel free to comment below. I'll do my best to answer. I'm still learning. So if you guys have any tips for my roasting, you let me know as well. But to wrap it up, make sure you get a good exhaust system. I used to do this in the kitchen, and the house would still smell. It wasn't too bad because I was under the kitchen hood, but it's just better if you just do it where you're not living. This is in my garage, goes out the backyard. Make sure you have a fire extinguisher. I did almost catch this on fire because I didn't have enough air circulation to rotate the beans. I didn't catch that in my settings. And yeah, just have fun with it. You're gonna learn how to cup to pick out the taste notes and take a lot of notes. This requires a lot of patience because you really do have to wait 2 to 4 weeks before you can use them for espresso. So you can cup them right away. Once you're more experienced, you can taste through the initial roasting taste, and you'll be able to pick out some of the taste notes. So my Kenya is roasted to taste like lychee and chocolate, and my Brazil is a little bit more darker for the bittersweet notes. Not too dark, but it's just enough to balance with the acidity of the Kenya, so it makes really good flat white. So that's my blend. But yeah, again, ask me if you have any questions. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.